Today I'm going to talk about a couple of Z-Wave remote switches. I'm going to unbox them, configure them and test them, and I'm also going to talk a bit about remote buttons and battery-powered buttons in general. Hello, I'm Blake, a professional innovator and designer in pursuit of the invisible smart home.
Water leak alert.
Before I get to the testing and pairing of the Z-Wave buttons, I just wanted to talk about buttons in general. Granted, most of my experience has been with SmartThings and buttons, integrating them with SmartThings, but I found that Z-Wave and, I've really found that all buttons have a delay. Half a second delay, maybe even a second is acceptable. You could get away with that. But when there's a delay of over a second, when you push the button and the light doesn't come on for 1,000, 2,000, that's too long, and it can cause confusion with some users. And particularly if you're turning on a light that's not, or any other device that's not within visible range, so you don't have any feedback if the light is on or off. But I have had good experience with the 433 type buttons. And that's funny because the Z-Wave and Zigbee, in some cases they were running locally, and the 433 buttons usually have to go through a hub or a bridge to the cloud, and then it's one cloud like EWLink or Smart Life talking to the SmartThings cloud, and they were always faster. Alright, so here's a good example of the 433. This is our new gate lock. You can use the 433 button to lock it and unlock it. Put this somewhere in the yard. Now it's locked. Can't open it. And this has nothing to do with the internet. It doesn't need the internet, but you can also lock it and unlock it with the internet. I'll just show you that here. Gate access. Alright, so that locked it. And I can unlock it. So I found these, better. And I'm just going to push this one here. You should be able to hear it. I have one here for my desk lamp. It's going off and on. You should be able to hear that. So I found those better. One other thing about buttons is that some of these buttons, I think this is a Zigbee, and this is a Zigbee button from AOTech or SmartThings, and others that I've seen have multiple positions. So you can push it, double push it, push and hold it, and so on, and some up to even 5 pushes. You're not really going to use much beyond one or double push or hold and push. And even then, you're probably not going to use it. And as an example, I would use 2 separate buttons to turn on my pool pump as an example. I wouldn't, because you wouldn't know if the pump was on or off if you use the flip-flop part of it. You push it, light comes on, you push it again, light goes off. That's okay for a light, maybe, that you can see, but it's not okay for some other device, such as my pool pump or maybe my garage door. I want to know that when I push that button, it's going to turn on the pool pump or open a garage. I don't want it to accidentally close the garage when it's already open if I don't know the condition of it. Alright, so let's open these up. This is kind of unbranded. I bought both from Amazon. This is the Zooz, and they were both $28 and change. This brand is called Menoston, although it's not written on the package. It's listed on the Amazon. So let's just open it up and see what it looks like. Get this on the wall. I guess that goes behind it, I think, and then this just sits in there as a magnet, and you got your switches. So it's just a battery-powered remote switch. I think it's going to be pretty much the same. Pretty much similar hardware. I'm kind of guessing that this Menoston is making this for Zooz, or maybe the other way around. This is just one switch though, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4 switches. Let's open the device and pull the battery tab. Comes with this little tool. Pull this tab. Alright, let's put it back together. Hopefully. I tried partially a couple unsuccessful attempts to pair both devices, but I've managed to figure that out, and I'm just going to show you what I was doing wrong. So you go to add device, and I was scanning for the QR code, and it looked like it kind of worked. It came up and said it found the device, and then it went through to, and it didn't tell you, but I put it in pairing mode, in this case by pushing this 6 times at the top, and in this case I think it's 5 times to put it in pairing mode. But you're not supposed to scan the QR code first. What you're supposed to do is, or what worked for me, and I guess this moves it to the new Edge drivers if it has them, and in this case I don't think they are run by Edge drivers, and I'll show you why in a minute. But what you do is you scan by brand. And for the Zooz, I looked for the Zooz here at the end. Zooz and remote button. And then I selected that. And then it told me to click the paddle 6 times to put it in pairing mode. And then after it found it through pairing mode, and then it scanned the QR code, which is probably part of the S2 security, the Z-Wave thing. In any case, I've got them both working now. The web interface to show you that they both actually paired in the cloud, so maybe in the future they'll pair locally, but I'll just show you what that looks like. You can see the devices here. Let's see if I can point them out. The Zooz ZEN remote switch 34, and it's paired in the cloud. So the Aeotech wall is here, and it paired in the cloud. So I've shown you they've paired in the cloud. Some of my devices are paired locally, and you could probably, maybe not now, but in the future with updates from SmartThings, there will be a way to pair these so they're locally. And then if you have whatever you're controlling, a light or a pump or a garage door, if it's paired locally as well, it would just make it a more reliable and probably a little bit more responsive interface. But let's just test the timing here. I set up automation for this to turn on my desk light, which is pointing here, and the same automation for this. So let's just give it a try. The desk light is off now. Alright, so that's an acceptable delay. Alright, so that's not bad. Alright, that seemed a little slower. Alright, so they're both about the same, and I think that delay is acceptable. And I guess these are cool solutions for anywhere you can't put an AC switch, or you want to add a secondary switch to control whatever smart home devices are connected to your system. So in conclusion, I think I like the Menoston version better, just because it has 5 buttons. But they're both about the same otherwise, and I was a bit concerned about timing, but even though they're both paired to the cloud, they seem to be responsive enough. I guess the one difference between a 433 type switch, which I was mentioning earlier, is that these batteries will probably only be good for a year or two, and a 433 switch would be good for 5+ years. But otherwise they're about the same. So please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and look for my next video. Cheers.